Welcome to Build Your Maverick Business, the podcast for underdog, outlier, and renegade entrepreneurs. Brought to you by Strange Creative Studio. If you dream of going off on your own and launching your rebel empire, but don't know where to start, you're in the right place. We'll teach you how to use mindset, branding, and practical advice to build a killer business and transform your world. And now, here's your host, founder of Strange, Alex Pitt.
Hello everyone. I'm a little bit late recording today. You know, it's summer when you can throw your windows open and delight in the fresh air and sunshine for about 10 seconds before a bastard fly starts coming in and all of nature is suddenly flying around your office. Or at least that was the case just now. Now, one of those bastard little flies has just come in. He's making a mockery of me and I don't know where he is. So with any luck, I can get this podcast recorded before he starts buzzing around my mic. So anyway, let's get on with it, shall we? So I do like to have waves of random inspiration in the strangest places, but I had a wave of inspiration for this episode the other day when I was talking to my boyfriend, he's a very intelligent man. Joe is a very intelligent man. He's a tech head. Like, he watches YouTube videos where they're talking about stuff like, I don't know, petabytes and GPU and CPU and C3PO and motherboards and all kinds of shit that goes so far over my head. And we have this running joke called the monkey with the cymbals. So every now and then, Joe will be telling me about something to do with one of these many nerdy, geeky things that I do not understand. Don't get me wrong, by the way, I do not think of myself as an unintelligent woman. It's just that this is not my zone of genius. I will leave it to him to know about all this stuff. So every now and then he'll be telling me about one of these things. He'll be telling me about, recently I got myself a new MacBook and he was listing all of the features. Like, it's got blah, 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 gigabytes of memory and a processor, blah, blah. I don't even remember. It goes so far over my head. And so whenever he starts talking to me in this way, I hold my fists together and I bump them together in circular motions, representing a monkey with the cymbals, because that is what is going on in my brain at that particular moment. So bless him, we'll be stood there mid-sentence trying to explain something to me and I'm just a monkey with the cymbals. It's the way that we communicate. It's how I let him know that I'm lost. I don't know what's going on here. And what he then proceeds to do, first of all, is to just sigh and look at me like, Jesus Christ, woman. But then he goes on to explain it to me in a way that I understand, not to dumb it down, not to say like, you take this shiny thing and it does this for you. He explains it to me in a way that I understand how this thing's going to benefit me. So when he's telling me about the CPU and the processors and all this sort of thing, he says, okay, so if you get this, when you are using After Effects or Photoshop or all of the software that you use, which is very heavy, it will run much faster and things will process quicker and your job will just be easier, right? Now that I understand. In that, I can understand how this thing benefits me. I don't really need to know about all of the little details. I don't need to understand, what any of that stuff means. But I do want to understand how that thing is going to benefit me. How's that going to change my life? And this leads me on to this week's episode. It's the power of selling a transformation, right? The idea that if you can sell to somebody the benefit of the thing that you're plugging, the thing that you're selling to them, it's so much more effective than talking about that product in terms of its features, in terms of the materials that you've used, in terms of the steps that you take if you're selling a service. And this has been super effective for me with Strange in the way that we communicate and the way that we sell our products and services. Now, there's this thing in business that I see so many people do. I work with a lot of clients who have this same kind of monkey with the cymbals effect on me. And not because the work that they're doing isn't really, really amazing. It's not that they're not selling amazing products or, they don't provide really, really helpful, creative, innovative services. It's just that everyone is different and everyone understands things in a different way. But we all need to plug in sometimes to things that we don't understand. I always use the example of I hire an accountant because when it comes to figures, I really monkey with the cymbals hard. So There's always going to be this occasion where you're explaining your product or your services to someone who doesn't necessarily get it. They haven't worked in the field that you've built your career in. They don't understand necessarily the benefits of the thing that you're selling. So you have to work out how to bridge that connection and how to sell a transformation. Now, there's this thing that I see so many people do when they're just starting out. It's this build it and they will come attitude. So you make a thing, you run ads for the thing, and no one buys it. It happens a lot. It happens to everyone at some point. It's happened to me for sure. Then you end up running more ads, or you change your prices, or you listen to a load of podcasts about what you're doing wrong, or you get sucked into those silver bullet things that you get advertised, like the one thing that entrepreneurs aren't doing. It's like, oh, get in the bin. You start taking online courses. You're trying to find out what it is that you're missing. Now, if you imagine going back to that first example that I gave you about Joe telling me something really, really technical that I don't understand, that's not to say that the thing that he's describing to me isn't really, really, really helpful to me. It's something that I need. It's just that the communication the first time round did not compute. It wasn't connecting with me. It wasn't bringing up that emotional response that I needed. Now, you see, when you are selling anything, literally anything, it can be, I don't know, wax melts, it can be China teacups. Why are these the things that come into my mind? I'm literally staring out my window trying to think of random objects, and that's what came up. You can be selling tech products, you can be selling soy candles, you could be selling cushion covers. I'll stop that now, you get the idea. Whatever it is you're selling, you are selling a transformation. Now that means that you are either removing pain or providing pleasure. So for example, if you are selling ice cream, you are providing pleasure. If you are selling, I don't know, a cream for athlete's foot, you are removing pain. Again, why are these the first things that are coming to mind? I should really take more detailed notes before I start recording this. But you get what I mean. You're either providing pleasure or you are removing pain. That counts for any single thing. Now, what if, instead of going down the monkey with the cymbals route, you were to concentrate on that transformation? So this is something that kind of blew my fucking mind when I came across this idea of focusing on the benefit for people. And it was during a really challenging conversation where I was trying to explain to somebody the benefits of branding. I was trying to explain to them why they needed a powerful brand. Now, I am well aware that you can go on to Fiverr, Upwork, People Per Hour, or any of those freelancing websites, and you can pay somebody about £15 to knock you up a logo. Now, I will not comment on whether or not that logo is going to be any good, but you may love it and you may think, you know what, I just need to put something out there, that'll do, right? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't go and do that, just don't tell me about it, all right, cheers. When it comes to running an agency, it's a step up from freelancing, right? I was perfectly happy to knock up a 300 quid logo back in my freelancing days. But when you run an agency, you're going deeper than that. You're offering a higher service and you're offering something which is a lot more beneficial than just a 300 quid logo. Everyone gets that they need certain graphic design things, you know, whether it is that brochure, whether it is that logo. But what a lot of people don't get is the point in branding. You know, they think of branding as just graphic design elements that they can put on social media or put on their website, the fonts and the colours and the logo, etc. What they didn't understand was the power behind a brand and what that can actually do in forming emotional connections with your audience. Refer to last week's episode for my thoughts on powerful brands. But I had this really interesting conversation once where I was speaking to someone who didn't really get the point in branding. They were just like, okay, so you design a logo, so what? I was trying to say to this person, no, you just don't understand. You don't understand the point in branding. Like it's so important, it's so integral. And because I'd always worked in design and I always appreciated the power of a strong brand, I really struggled to articulate this. I was just like, but of course branding's important. And the thing is, because I'd always taken for granted that it was, I really, really struggled to articulate this. I was just like, but it is right. I haven't just pissed my career up the wall this whole time. And so I had to really focus on that idea of, okay, wait a minute. How do I sell to this person? This isn't just making everything look nice, because I am aware that I'm biased because I'm a designer and I care about things looking nice. I am a creative person. If you're not creative, why should you care? It ended up giving birth to a lot of the language and a lot of the communication that we now use within Strange. So when you do have a really powerful brand, you're forming connections with people, right? I've talked about this before. They've already made an emotional decision that they want to buy from you. So when you sell them something, the sale is much easier. You don't need to drop your prices. You don't need to bang on about your materials. You don't need to go monkey with the Cymbals. They already want to invite you into their lives. Okay? So branding is not logos and colours and fonts. It's creating an emotional connection with people so that you can find fans. You can find your raving fan base that just want to buy from you, right? The thing that I've discovered in doing that work is that people that don't get branding do not give a shit about colours and logos and fonts. They don't care about Creative Suite. They don't care about Photoshop. They don't care about Illustrator. They don't care about the process that I go through or the tools that I use. Even how many years of experience I have or how many qualifications I have or where I went to university. They have a problem and they want me to solve it. Now, a lot of the time, the problem is that they can't sell their shit or they're not reaching enough people or people don't really get what they're doing. And having a powerful brand solves that problem. So if I can sell that transformation, I don't need to talk about any of that other shit. They don't want me to talk about any of that other shit. It's about focusing on that benefit to that person. That's when you get a response. When you can explain to them how their life is going to be better, that's when they fucking care. It's creating that emotional connection so that selling to them becomes easier. It's almost like there's some logic to this whole branding thing. Now, there's this old adage in marketing. If you're selling drills, you're actually selling holes in wood, right? People care about the end result. They don't care about the process. They don't want to know what they're going to have to go through to get that transformation. They don't want to know what steps they're going to have to take. Not as much anyway. But if you can sell that feeling, if you can sell the picture of what their life is going to look like when they're done with whatever product or service that you're offering them, that's when you get their attention. Everyone spends money because they want to remove pain or introduce pleasure. So focus on that transformation and you're in. I'm going to give you some examples of this, right? So the AA. Now, for my American listeners, in the UK, the AA is roadside cover. I am not talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. That would be a very different conversation. But for the purposes of this podcast, I'm talking about the AA roadside cover. They will come and rescue you if your car breaks down on the side of the road.
Now, in all of their advertising and communication, the AA aren't going on about the brands of vans that their fleet have. They're not talking about the years of experience that their drivers have or how the infrastructure of the business works.
They're selling a transformation, and that transformation is taking you from vulnerable, cold, and shivering, trying to entertain your kids on the side of the road, to nice and warm and comforted and rescued. If you think about Nike, they're not just selling you, hey, here's a pair of trainers, here's some Lycra jogging bottoms, here is, I don't know, I haven't bought sportswear in ages, I have no idea what I'm talking about. But the transformation there is they're taking you from lying on the sofa, feeling a little bit overweight and getting out of breath when you go up the stairs, to feeling like a fucking athlete. They're showing you all of these people that look just like you, who are going for a run or playing basketball or doing whatever, and they look happy and they look fit. And they're saying, you can have this. You can have this transformation. You can change your life and be like this person. Buy these things and you will get there. So imagine if Nike's whole brand was just like, we use, I don't know, this particular type of Lycra that comes from, I fucking don't know how Lycra's made, but they're not focusing on their factory or their process or the patterns that they use to cut these clothes. They're offering you this transformation. And that's why Nike is such a strong brand. So in focusing at Strange on, we will help you find your raving fan base, instead of we will create a brand identity with nice fonts and nice colours and da-da-da-da-da. Like, Johnny Average doesn't give a shit about that, but they do care about the idea of finding their raving fan base. They want that. So that's how you sell. Selling a transformation is fucking powerful. So think about it. What transformation are you selling? What pleasure are you adding and what pain are you removing? How can you tap in to telling your audience how they will feel when they've bought from you? That there is the money ticket. All right, my loves, I'm going to go find this bloody fly. Have a lovely rest of your week and I will see you soon.
Building a maverick business of your own. Don't leave your branding to chance. We have a range of strategy and design packages to kickstart your killer brand and help you find your raving fan base. Book a free discovery call with Alex today at strangecreativestudio.com.